You're not supposed to be here, Kyle. Now you're stuck. Now we gotta cut the feeder or do something here with you, buddy. A morning of chaos, including getting jolted by the perimeter fence. I feel like I can still feel it in my left side. I don't know what it's like to get shocked in the hospital, but whew, feeling it. So let's look at what I screwed up with the chickens. We moved them today. Where you see this dark green is where the chickens had been and were not there very long. And then they were here and too long. It'll come back very nicely, but when you're trying to get the cattle out on pasture and eventually the sheep, you know, you shouldn't eat this much literally of the pasture up. You can tell how much those, you know, chickens were nipping off all the time. Here's a, that didn't work so well. Here's a legume of some type, probably alfalfa. And they're just taking the tops off as they come up, or I guess you call it the shoots. But we'll see how this circular area turns out and how it recovers, but we won't be grazing here anytime soon. So I should have got him out of here sooner. Just too many things going on, and which sounds like excuses. So let's go see where they're at now. So just to get our bearings, this is the north side of the barn. That's the lean-to I milk in. So what we have here is the bedded pack from winter that we pushed up. There's a couple things we're trying to do here. One is get the chickens off pasture, just like I showed in the previous areas. Get them out here and working through this compost to help aerate it. You know, this is very dense, heavy. They won't aerate a ton of it. But really just to get them in a spot to buy us some time for the pasture to recover, and then we'll run them behind the cattle and the sheep. And I need to make a more lightweight chicken tractor in order to move it every day, because these are too cumbersome, and these are more about winter and spring housing. Another intent of what we're doing is, you'll see we've got this split. Chickens can be ruthless. You take this flock over here, integrate it with an established flock. I mean, that's where they get the, you know, phrase pecking order from. And there's definitely a pecking order. And this guy, he was fighting through the fence with one of the hens over there anyway. So eventually I hope to integrate them, so we're only moving one flock at a time. We'll have to see how that goes. We've been able to integrate small flocks. We did 2 small flocks last year. We integrated them. And that way we're moving them one at a time versus 2 of them. Something else I've noticed, you know, these came, they're approximately 16 months old, came from a commercial operation. And they do not have instincts. They do not have a high instinct to, you know, to scratch and work through the ground. I feed on the ground in the compost pile in order to get them to do it. Where these ladies and guy, you know, they absolutely, you know, they've got a bucket full of feed and they're looking through the poo to eat. A little bit opposite of them, but they'll get there. Because I mean, they definitely, the sexlings are aware of it, because I just showed you where they were at and they were taking the shoots off of the forage. So we're gonna be leaving them parked up here for a while as they get to know each other, as well as saving us some space and time with the moves. Another thing to think about when you are dealing with laying hens and you're going to carry them over years, if you get all the same species and you run them together, you don't know which one's older. So we've got a couple different species here. I'm able to track it. A couple different breeds, where I'm able to track that and figure out, you know, which year, how old they are, and then you can call them appropriately. So between what we have now, I know the Buff Orpingtons and Barred Rocks are approximately 3 years old. Sussex are 1 year old. And these guys, the sexlings, are about 18 months old. So when you integrate them, we won't need to band the legs. That's another common method. Use a color band for a particular birth year and track them that way. Because again, with egg productivity, you could have hens hanging around for 5, 6, 7 years and not laying eggs, and would you know it if you don't have them separated? Or if they're all one breed, you can't identify them as the older versus younger. So that's another thing that we're gonna be working through as we get more laying hens. So overall, very productive day. The short little deal that kind of sent our morning into a little bit of chaos is Kyle got stuck in the feeder. I led with that. And in the issue of transparency, and let's be honest, it happened 10 minutes before that. We got him out easily. And William recommended that we do something immediately with the feeder. I said, no big deal. Let's finish with the chickens and then we'll go back to that. He got stuck the second time, and this time I had to cut him out with the grinder. So he was not intended to be in that feeder. That's for the calves. I had just given him access to that area temporarily for what we're doing with the moves today. So Kyle was stuck in the feeder, and we had to cut him out with the grinder. Well, we didn't cut him with the grinder. We cut them out with the grinder. So all is good now. Have a great day.